branding is about business. It's a business skill.
No one's accepting me because, hey, what are we gonna do with your skills?
How did you do it?
It's all about you first.
It's super scary in real life, but also in LinkedIn. Just send in a message.
So this is the ability to share your struggles.
And of course, there's always the likes, dopamine.
5 years ago, I was the one who was really scouring.
Hello, this is the podcast of Data and AI Talks. And my name is Vincent Spraat, and today I have with me Albert, and he has a very interesting background as a data engineer, a data scientist, a machine learning engineer. He worked all over the world, but I'm let him introduce in a second. In this podcast, we're trying to really focus on the importance of personal branding as a professional. So I believe that companies should brand themselves, but also people should brand themselves, and this increases your value. And we're going to really get into that today. And why you should do it is why it is important to have more value. What are the benefits? And we're gonna see with Albert an exact case of somebody who has very much success and who gets the assignments that he wants and the life that he wants because of this personal branding. So Albert, thank you for joining me and welcome. So can you maybe give me a quick introduction of yourself?
Yeah, nice meeting you, Vincent. Thanks for having me in this podcast. So my name is Albert, but I actually go by my nickname, Bash. So my colleagues, my peers in the industry call me Bash. So I got my nickname based on the scripting programming language. So for all of you who are open source junkie or who have used Linux or Unix before, you know Bash. So my research advisors when I was in university called me Bash because I was addicted to all things open source. I created my own Linux distro when I was in university, and I was leading an organization about a Linux users group in my campus. So I'm really, really into open source. So my background, I'm currently a data scientist at Ian Cray. So if you are based in the Netherlands or somewhere near Europe, you know the bank that I've been working with. Before being a data scientist, I've been a full-time activist in the Philippines, actually, doing environmental and social activism, helping the marginalized, and using my skills really to help the marginalized and oppressed. So we have an organization there called Computer Professionals Union. So we use tech to serve the people, to serve the masses. So that's why I get a lot of enthusiasm when sharing the skill sets and the experiences that I have in living and navigating my way through the tech industry. So nice meeting you again, Vincent.
Yeah. So you already were very familiar with branding even before you went into your career.
Indeed, indeed. So a lot of my work in NGOs, we really mind how we present ourselves in terms of the strategies that we communicate, the value and the impact that we can deliver. So indeed, helped me a lot.
So now at ING, but you started in the Philippines.
Indeed.
And then the road went from Los Angeles, now to Europe. So have you always been doing branding from a business perspective?
No, my background is physics actually. So I didn't have any strong background with economics and business. I learned it through a lot of engagements with mentors, with the organizations and people that I meet with. So in terms of like the branding perspective that I had, I was lucky enough to also enroll in some courses about general education thingy. So I think that's what we lack in a specialized world, right? A lot of us are trained to do very, very specific things. But come to think of it, we are not siloed individuals. The world is complex. So we need more complex tools to also understand the world that we live in. So for example, when in university, I was not only studying physics. Although most of my subjects are physics, I took classes in sociology. I understand structuralism, Marxism, different perspectives on how to view the world as a whole and not as a specific and aggregate of its own. So I think that really helped me connect the dots and apply those things that I've learned to navigate industry and its complexity.
So you're saying that for you, branding is about business. It's a business skill.
Indeed, it's a people skill, not only business, because branding is also relevant not only for business applications but also for impact. So that's the main thing that I was involved in after graduating university is to
Mhm.
like really be a full time advocate of fighting for environment, for social justice in the global south.
Okay. And so I can imagine that a lot of people listening understand the benefit for companies that are branding, because if they don't know you, they cannot buy from you. But how does it benefit a professional to have a personal brand?
It opens a lot of opportunities basically if people know you well enough in terms of what you do, the things you want to do, and the impact that you want to make. The benefit for me is it opened a lot of doors, honestly. Before, way back after graduating college, as I was creating like a life plan, and I was struggling because as a physics graduate in a third world country, you don't really have much opportunities. Like the only trajectory that you can go is to go back to research underfunded in our case, or teach in a university setting, which pays really low and it's hard to really make meets
Yeah.
ends meet, right? So for the things that I was looking out for is how can I make things work as someone who has the skill set of a physicist who knows how to code? How can I apply it to more impact and to branch out to what is expected of me in my career? So that's when I started to really attend community talks to understand the needs and the gaps in the industries on how I can better like market myself as a person. So the first time that I applied for a job, no one's really like accepting me because I wanted to apply as a data analyst and as a data engineer first.
Yeah.
No one's accepting me because hey, what are we gonna do with your skill set? You're a physics major. But I told them, hey, but look at the data practitioners and the engineers in the world. What are their backgrounds? What are their skill sets? Most of these people are engineers and natural scientists. Look at those who are applying machine learning. Where are the concepts coming from? Most of those concepts are borrowed from engineers and physicists. So I took that leverage to really explain the fundamentals of the tools that are being used by the industries because some of them didn't understand the history of these tools
Yeah.
and the background of these tools. So I got accepted with my first job because I mentioned to them some statistics that, for example, if you look at the demographics in the Philippines, 80% of the data scientists who started in the Philippines way back in 2015 are from physics background. So when I told them the numbers, it's easier for me to get in. So
Yeah.
those kinds of starting points that I leverage to really get into the industry really helped me a lot. It's also helped that I know some people, some of my professors also helped in the way because they also migrated from their jobs in the university. They were also doing engagements in the industry, doing collaboration with research, academe to industry, bridging those gaps. So it really helped me a lot because I use them as references and they also recommend me to different job prospects.
So basically, you had two things to leverage: one, your network, and two, show other people why your strengths are not a weakness.
Indeed.
And okay, but that doesn't really say much about your branding at this point yet. So, what made you start to talk more about your subject and get out there in the social media? Or I don't even know how did you do it? You started with talks, but was it you grown an online community? How big is the community right now?
It's more than 25,000, I think, for
25,000. Yeah, but that's a lot if you are just having technical people following you.
indeed. Even on LinkedIn, it's hard really to like get a lot of network as compared if you do it in YouTube or in TikTok or other
Yeah.
media platforms.
So the question is, how did you start and what did it bring you?
Yeah. So I was leveraging on this concept called sociological imagination. It's by C. Wright Mills. So those people who are familiar with sociology, they know this concept. So this is the ability to share your struggles to everyone and learn from your struggles, and then people will automatically and freely share their struggles as well as you do it in the process. So I started on like applying to conferences. First time I applied to conferences, I presented some open source thingy that I do. I was studying on like cryptography, cryptocurrency way back then, and I applied to a conference in London. I got selected. I presented there. So people got interested, and then they said, "Hey, you want to connect somewhere?" I don't. I only have Facebook. I don't know about any like platforms where professionals connect. And they mentioned, "Hey, try LinkedIn." So they said, "Try LinkedIn." Then when I got back to the Philippines, most of the people that I know in the industry also connected with me through LinkedIn. So it just grew, and most of my mentors are also in the network. So it really helped that I have that platform to begin with. But for me, it's really started with like putting out there the portfolio that I built initially. So, for example, the initial talks that I was giving, the initial open source research, or any hobbies that I have related to tech, like how I built my first website, because I don't have a programming or like front end development like background. But when I did it, generally, I was curious and I was happy that I was able to produce something. I just put it in my website and then share on LinkedIn. At first, no one is like seeing it, only my peers, and I even messaged them, "Hey, can you read this article for me?" Like I really dedicated some time for it. What do you think about it? I was crowdsourcing, doing collective like scouting for collective wisdom from my mentors and my peers initially, but that really went well when I branched out to more content related to AI. So I was creating things about natural language processing, computer vision. So I was showing something tangible and something digestible readily to more people. That's where I get more engagement. And indeed, once I get that traction, now I don't apply to jobs anymore. Like people will just like message me on LinkedIn, "Hey, we have this opportunity. Hey, do you want to give this talk?" So previously, like 5 years ago, I was the one who was really scouring like websites, looking for conferences that I wanted to attend so I can build my network. But now it's reversed. Now people looked me on LinkedIn. I get the prospects, I get opportunities, and I get the network from there. Um,
Interesting. Yeah. So you're saying that it starts with making interesting content, and it should be content of a subject that you're interested in, where you did some research about, where you want to learn more about and discuss maybe with your peers. You will maybe put in an opinion or something you found out, and you ask what they think about. And in the beginning, it's also it might grow with one person per day, right, or even less. And then it's just about having the right people. And it's not so much, I think, about having a big following as more as people that are committed and actually
and genuine about
yeah
the content.
that are interested, but also that comment,
Indeed,
that
and the
maybe say
engagements.
something themselves. And then at some point there was a turning point where you say, okay, I have been putting out the content and you're still doing that, you're continuing it, but now you start to reaping the rewards from it.
Yeah,
It's
indeed.
giving you better opportunities in life.
But you need to remember that it should not be the first thing that you need to think about. The audience is just second. It's
Yeah.
the first thing that you have to do is to have genuine interest on the subject matter that you want to contribute. It's all about you first. That
Yeah.
it's really important that you have that strong sense of purpose, that strong sense of self before you can bring out something better to the community. So it starts within first, and then now you think about the audience after you have a strong sense of what you wanted to do. Because that's also a continuous learning process, right? This is an engagement where it will need years and years and years of development until you really wanted to do any like specific things of impact.
Yeah, I see it for myself as well. We that's why we're doing this podcast, and we trying to learn how to do it. With it's trying new stuff every week and just learning from it. I'm pretty sure we have about 2 followers right now, but hopefully it will be 3 tomorrow. And it's all helping to prepare us. But if even if I don't have any followers or people watching it, it helps me a great deal to get further to learn more about a subject and to get closer to people. And I think that's already great. So even if you're a data engineer or a data scientist and you just start to create content. It doesn't have to be a podcast, it can be an article, it can be something, but just try it and see what kind of responses you get. And of course, there's always the likes, dopamine that will trigger your brain.
Yeah,
But it's
aside
more
from the
about
likes, it's
engaging
social
with
media.
people, and that's how you grow and learn. And especially in the technology where everything is changing so quickly, you you need to learn as much as possible. You need to share your knowledge in order to get it back as well.
Yeah, I think it's also how we define the future of work. Because right now, the future of work is defined by big companies or even startups, and then we enter them as employees. So that's company
Yeah.
centric. But I think the future of work is human centered, meaning we are hired as consultants with the companies. We come to the companies with certain skill sets that we want to use to help them, but still the focus is not really the company building these enormous technological innovations, but it's about the people who built this technology. So usually I see this as technologists, we really create extensions, technology as extensions of our humanity. So it needs to be really human centered. It's not about
Mhm.
the big names like Google, Microsoft. It's not about them. It's the people who build these brands, these names.
Yeah, and I think it's already coming up. Well, if you look in the other areas, for example, there's big YouTube stars, influencers, and people building their personal brand on a big scale. They have become more popular than movie stars, even among the next generation. So I think this is the way to go. And I think you already know probably the best people in your field. And if you don't, you should try to know them as quickly as possible. Follow them and see what
Yeah,
kind of things they're talking about,
I
because
have a
that
trick.
will
I have
learn
a
teach
trick
you.
when I
Yeah.
started. So when I started, I had a spreadsheet. I listed out 20 profiles that I want to replicate their careers into. So I listed out 20 names. Some of them I know, some of them I don't know. It's a second degree of separation. Like a person that I know knows them. Then I messaged them one by one on LinkedIn. I was an introvert before, but I just messaged, hey, I'm really interested about your career, how you managed to navigate the industry. Can we maybe have like a 15 minutes of like coffee? Because this was before the pandemic. I was giving invites to people, and they're really, really nice. I wasn't expecting people to be like really nice that they would like reply and even give me free coffee. They were paying for it because these are like successful people. So it's just really surprising that people readily helps when it comes to like giving advice and
Yeah.
giving mentorship. They're really like open to it. In even me, it's really not about likes and engagements anymore, but it's about people and inspiration. So when I check my inbox on LinkedIn, I get a lot of, hey, please continue what you're doing, we're so inspired. And I see people also doing the same thing as I do. Like many of my mentees in the Philippines and Southeast Asia do the same thing, and I see them like post and see their successes and stories. It makes me really happy, from a personal perspective, from a human perspective, outside of the buzz and noise of
Mhm.
engagements and numbers. But it's really about the impact that you do to people's lives. So this is how we can see that really tech is a good innovation or device that we can use for social mobility, because it's really relevant from where I came from.
I think everybody's scared in the beginning. You say you were introverted. I almost don't believe you, to be honest. If I see you now,
Yeah.
maybe you have gone through a great journey, but um, just to start and walk up to somebody is super scary in real life, but also in LinkedIn. Just send them a message. How did you start there? How did you find them? First of all, you just went into LinkedIn and looked for superstar, or what do you do?
My strategy for looking up for people is I started with people that are close to me first. So my professors, so the people that I saw who were giving talks in my university, or I attended the conference and I saw this person, I was already looking for something that we have in common. So that's the first thing that I was looking for. Is there something that is common to both of us?
Mm.
So we have a starting conversation point. So that was my first thing. But then when I get more adventurous, I was even messaging authors whom I read a book. Hey, I just read your book and I was really a fan of how you discuss this topic. Can we maybe connect on LinkedIn? And maybe if you go to this, I saw that you're also going to this conference in Spain. Maybe we can see each other and have a chat. So that also like opened a lot of doors indeed.
Yeah. So you're okay. So that's another good trick. You go to actual face-to-face conferences.
Yeah, indeed.
I
And
also found that's really success. Like you build relationships really easy there, and everybody's there to network. And I had the same thing. I thought, oh, I'm afraid to speak with the speakers, but I just approached them, and they're actually very approachable. And now I invited them also to do a podcast with, and it's just you can learn so much if you're just open to approach people, and don't worry about asking a stupid question. Just try to hang out with interesting people and absorb their information and their knowledge. And I think it's a very known saying that you are like the best five friends, or the people you hang out with most, you are the average of them.
indeed,
So if you
indeed.
try to hang out with really successful and people that are really good in their field, you will also be one of them. There's no that it's just science actually. Okay, so the first step is to get an open mind, get
Mhm.
interested in a topic, start producing content about it, reach out to people that are maybe close around you but they are further ahead, and learn from them, drink coffee with them, and then reach out to people even further away, try to approach them as well, ask them for guidance, and just build from there.
That's
That's
how I
it.
did it. Indeed, simple recipe to make your personal brand. Indeed.
Exactly. And then the success that you get out of it is that you will become known as an authority in your field, and companies are lining up to work with you, and events are actually asking you to speak. And you will need to learn how to speak good, because that's also a skill. Everybody thinks
Uh,
if you're there on the stage, that's only for some people, but actually everybody can learn it, and it's very scary the first time. And some people, even after hundreds of talks on stage, they still throw up just before they do it. It's always scary. But yeah, Bash, thanks so much for your insights on this. I love to talk more with you about it, but let's keep that for the next time. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So again, we are living in a more connected society more than ever. So we should leverage collective and collaborative innovation. Go out there, open yourself, and go online.
Yes, I will share the link of your LinkedIn here as well. Everybody connect with Bash and ask him your question. He will love to answer it.
Indeed. See you in the online world.